So Apple just pulled the wraps off its latest silicon, the M5 chip. And let me tell you, this isn't just your standard year-over-year update. We're talking about a pretty big architectural shift with a serious focus on AI and graphics. The big question is this the power play that really changes the game for Apple's Pro devices? Well, let's dive in and figure it out.
Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we break down the biggest stories in the tech world for you.
Here's what we've got on tap today. First, we're going to meet the M5 chip itself. Then we'll see which of Apple's Pro devices are getting this new brain. After that, we'll pop the hood and look at the new architecture, help you decide if it's actually time to upgrade, and then, just for fun, we'll take a little peek into the future of the Mac. All right, first things first, the M5 chip. What is this thing, and what really makes it different from what we've seen before? Okay, so the M5 is Apple's brand new next-generation chip. Now, look, every new chip is faster, we expect that, but the real story with the M5 is its architecture. It's been redesigned from the ground up to absolutely supercharge two specific areas: artificial intelligence and raw graphics power. Think high-end gaming, 3D rendering, that kind of stuff. So who gets to play with this new power first? Well, Apple is kicking things off with a refresh of its Pro lineup. Let's take a look at which devices are getting the upgrade. The M5 is making its debut in three key products: the MacBook Pro, the iPad Pro, and the Vision Pro. Right away, this tells you who Apple is targeting. They think the people who need this power the most are creative professionals, developers, and of course, the early adopters of what they're calling spatial computing. For the new 14-inch MacBook Pro, this is mostly an internal upgrade. I mean, just look at the specs. The price, the display, the weight, they're all identical to the M4 model. It's really the same great design on the outside, but with the M5's performance gains and one other pretty amazing new feature. And that standout feature is battery life. A whopping 24 hours? That's insane. Thanks to how efficient the M5 is, Apple squeezed an extra 2 hours of use out of this thing. We're talking true all day and then some territory, which is a game changer for pros on the move. Now, the Vision Pro gets an even bigger upgrade, jumping all the way from the M2 to the M5. That's a huge leap. You get a smoother 120 Hz refresh rate and an extra half hour of battery. But what's really interesting here is the weight. The new model is actually heavier. Kind of surprising, right? A definite trade-off for all that new performance. And to maybe help with that extra weight, Apple is bringing out a new, more comfortable dual knit band. You can also buy it separately if you have the original model. There's also some new accessory support for a wireless stylus from Logitech, which is aimed at artists. But here's the kicker. For anyone who bought the first one, Apple isn't offering a trade-in program. Ouch. The iPad Pro also gets the M5, of course, but its most unique new feature is actually all about connectivity. It has a new N1 wireless chip, which makes it the first iPad to support the Thread smart home protocol. Now, Thread is basically a low-power network that helps your smart lights and thermostats all talk to each other more reliably. This could be Apple laying the groundwork for the iPad to become a central hub for your smart home. Pretty cool. Okay, now let's get a little geeky for a second and look at what's really going on inside this new M5 chip. This is where things get really, really interesting. The massive change is that Apple has put a neural accelerator directly onto each and every GPU core. This lets the chip handle AI and graphics tasks at the same time, way more efficiently. Apple says this can deliver up to 4 times the GPU's computational power for AI. You combine that with better shaders and ray tracing for ultra-realistic lighting, and you've got something that is a huge deal for both AI developers and gamers. Another huge upgrade is memory bandwidth. That's just how fast the chip can talk to its memory. And the M5 clocks in at an absolutely blistering 153 gigabytes per second. And this really shows you the jump. Think of it like going from a 2-lane highway for your data to a 3-lane superhighway. We're jumping from 120 gigabytes per second on the M4 all the way to 153 on the M5. That is a seriously wider pipeline for data to flow through. So why should you even care about memory bandwidth? Well, it's simple. For those really complex data-heavy tasks, like running a big AI model right on your laptop or working with massive 3D files, this extra speed means less waiting around and a much smoother, more responsive experience. So when you put it all together, the numbers are just Staggering. Compared to the M4, you got a solid 20% boost in regular CPU tasks. That's nice. But look at the GPU and AI, a 60% jump in graphics performance, and an incredible 250%, that's 3.5 times faster performance for AI. That's not just a speed bump, folks. That's a rocket ship. With all this incredible new power, we get to the big question. Should you run out and buy one of these new machines? Or is it maybe smarter to wait? Let's see what the experts are saying. For a certain kind of user, the answer seems to be a resounding yes. As Tom's guide points out, if your day-to-day involves intense video rendering or high-end gaming, the M5's improvements are going to give you a very real, very noticeable speed up. But on the other hand, CNET makes a really strong case for the rest of us. For everyday stuff, web browsing, email, watching videos, the power of the M5 is probably just overkill. The M4 MacBook Air is already fantastic and might be the smarter, more practical buy for most people. And this slide really breaks down the whole dilemma, doesn't it? With the M5 Pro, you get all that power, that gorgeous 120Hz Pro Motion display, and that insane 24-hour battery. But the M4 Air is way cheaper, it's lighter, and it actually has a bigger screen. So it really just comes down to what you value most: raw, unadulterated power, or everyday portability and price. So this M5 update is clearly all about what's on the inside. But, the rumor mill is already churning about a much, much bigger redesign that might be just over the horizon. Let's take a quick look at what could be coming next. Yeah, according to reports from places like Bloomberg, the 2026 MacBook Pro, likely with an M6 chip, could be a totally revolutionary update. We're talking a complete physical redesign to be thinner and lighter, beautiful OLED displays, and, for the first time ever on a Mac, a touchscreen. We might even see an iPhone-style hole-punch webcam. But of course, all those upgrades are expected to come with a higher price tag. And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. Apple has fought against putting touchscreens on its laptops for more than a decade. They've always argued that macOS just isn't built for it. But with this rumored M6 update, all of that could change. So the question is, could a touchscreen be the final piece of the puzzle that truly redefines what a MacBook is and what it can be? If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.